Well, let's get more on that now. I'm joined from Chicago by Josh Blackman, who is an associate professor at the South Texas College of Law, specializing in constitutional law and the U.S. Supreme Court. Given that is your specialism, is this the choice that you thought President Trump would go for?
This is not much of a surprise. Over a year ago, it was reported that President Trump was considering former law clerks of Justice Kennedy as possible replacements as a way to persuade Justice Kennedy to retire. Brett Kavanaugh clerked for Justice Kennedy about 20 years ago, and I suspect that may have had something to do with the justice's decision to step down. So now he's appointed two Kennedy clerks, Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh. But critically, both of those are more conservative than their former boss.
It's interesting you mentioned their leanings because of the short list of the four likely nominees, they were all really considered to be conservative leaning. But as far as this choice, Brett Kavanaugh, goes, how far to the right do you think he is, relatively speaking?
I think what you have to know about Brett Kavanaugh is that he's been at the center of conservative politics for quite some time. He was involved in the Ken Starr investigation of Bill Clinton back in the 90s. He worked in the Bush White House during 9/11, during the Guantanamo issues. He's issued decisions on virtually every major constitutional issue, abortion, the separation of powers, the Second Amendment. So he's been in the center of everything. He is a known quantity. There's no mystery. And I think he brings the sort of credentials that President Trump was looking for with his nominee.
And if he goes through the Senate confirmation hearing and makes it onto the Supreme Court, what impact will his appointment have on the big social issues of the day? And in particular, the one that seems to be the most current hot topic that could go to the Supreme Court is the consideration of the constitutional right across the U.S. for women to have an abortion.
That's the million-dollar question. And I'm sure the Democrat senators will ask lots of questions about abortion. What I think your listeners in the UK should keep in mind is that Roe v. Wade, the famous case, isn't the only case we have. We've had other decisions about abortion since then. And the Supreme Court has actually chipped away at Roe considerably. So I don't think it's likely that the Roe v. Wade decision is overturned. What I do think is far more probable is that states can enact more aggressive laws regulating abortion, and the Supreme Court will not step in to set those laws aside. So I think Roe will remain in name, but states will have now more authority to regulate access to abortions.
Okay, Josh, really good to get your thoughts and your take on this. Josh Blackman there for us on that choice of Judge Kavanaugh as President Trump's nominee for the Supreme Court.